Well, welcome everybody to Breaking the Silence. You have a voice. I hope everybody is having a wonderful and blessed day. I am your host, V, and we have a really exciting topic for you all tonight. But before we go into our topic, I want to welcome all of our viewers, our Facebook viewers, and Instagram, YouTube, and all of our Caribbean jammers. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. Also, I want to introduce our other hosts. We have Dr. Yvonne Bennett with us tonight. How you doing, Dr. Bennett?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing very well. Busy
Good,
but well.
good, good. And how about you, Dr. Isaac?
Oh, I am good. I'm trying to recover. I I had a long week, had a busy week in Vegas, so I'm trying to recover.
Oh, okay, in Vegas. I want a long week in Vegas. How you doing, Pastor AT?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So I'm glad to
Good,
be here.
good. And Pastor Melanie, how's it going?
I am doing well, thank you.
Good. This seems like this month is going by really fast. Like this year is just zooming on by. It's already April.
You're absolutely
Like
correct.
we just got started and now we here. It's like wow, it keeps speeding by. But
Yes.
we want to talk. We got a good topic tonight. We were supposed to talk about it last week, but we kind of got off track a little bit, and I thought it was worth going back to because a lot of times people um, they get in relationships and they say, you know, we hear a lot about gender equality. So a lot of times women feel as though they can do the same thing a man can do, and you know take construction jobs and do whatever a man can do, and vice versa. And then we also have it where when people are together, everything should be 50-50. It's a 50-50 thing. So we're going to talk about it tonight. I'm sure that everybody has a lot to say about this because this is something that across the board is just, um, the reason why sometimes people break up because they don't know if there's a role or not, or what the role is, or are we equal. So we're going to talk about it. So anybody can just dive on in. Oh wow, be quiet tonight.
Well,
God,
I think it's,
wait a
yeah,
minute, let me note this down in
um,
history that guys don't have anything to say.
gender equality. Which way are we going to look at it? Are we going to look at it through through the work inside the house? Which way are we going to go?
we can do both.
Okay, I recently listened to a podcast. Matter of fact, it was last night. It was last night as I was driving home from the airport. Um, and it was some producers and some artists that were sitting inside the studio, and they were talking about what's the difference. What's the difference with women working with women, and the difference of women working with men when it comes to the studio? Um, and these particular lady um, writers and producers stated that they enjoy working with men better than they do the women. And they say typically inside of a studio is that the fellas come in there, they're like, let's be on time, let's get it, let's knock this out. Um, it's a very focused movement for them versus the vibe when you go in there when it's just all women. Mostly it's a laid back environment. It's like, what's up, sis? What's up, this? Look, we will get this. Like, you can do it. And the fellas be like, no, I'm pushing you to be better. Not saying that all women are like that, but the majority of the time that they're in the studio, they enjoy being there with a men. And then the comment, and then another comment came and they said, men have to realize that women can do the exact same thing that men do. There's a typically two differences between a man and a woman. And this one particular woman said the age of the man, because men have lived on this earth longer, and the strength of a man. those are two things that a woman would never be able to outdo when it comes to a man. So I have to agree with this young lady's comment to the aspect of women can do the exact same things that we do. And in some instance, and in some fields, and in some environments, women are extremely much smarter than men in some of those in some of those environments. Um, when you look at the world, typically the when you look at the whole creation of the world, typically is that the man has always been the one to go to work, and the woman has always been the one to take care of the household. um, we never allowed women the opportunity to step out in front and to allow their creative minds and their and things that they have wanted to create to actually come out. So I never believe in a 50-50 when it comes to gender equality. When it comes to gender equality between a man and a woman, I always believe in 100-100, because 50% is only 50%. So why can't we get the 100-100?
Hmm. Well, if we're coming from the workforce, I totally agree, because when we talk about the workforce, whatever the position is, now I know that a lot of times women take on positions that um, may be more of your um masculine type of position, but if you take the job, then you ought to be qualified to take the job. You ought to be able to then work the job because you have been hired to do just that. So you can't use um your weaknesses to eliminate you from being able to handle the position that you have been hired to do. But I think that in when you talk about 50-50, I more so look at gender equality as far as when you're in the home. If a husband and wife works, is it fair to say that the everything is equally shared, or is it still um certain duties that exist? Because when I was coming up, you had, things that men did and things that women did. And now things have changed. You see more women taking on that responsibility than the male. So when I say 50-50, if a husband works and a wife works, does the husband is the husband responsible for sharing the household load? Is he to share the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of the children? Where and is she, on the other hand, responsible to go get the oil changed and to manage the car and do all of the things that we think men are responsible to do? How does that work?
Well, but I think that's dependent upon the relationship, because if you if you marry someone, if I marry a woman that's a mechanic, that's her profession, then why should I worry about the maintenance of the car? And that's her professional job. Now, if she says, "Babe, look, I do this all day long, and I ain't trying to handle this when I come home. It's all on you." Then that's what we agree upon. Um, I don't I don't see it any different for a woman that enjoy cleaning the yard. If that's what she enjoy doing and she finds excitement out of doing that, let her do it. I don't believe in a gender role type of thing neither. So, but I don't subscribe to the 50-50 rule. I subscribe to the 100-100. And the reason that I say that is because if I'm giving 100% of effort and she's giving 100% effort, then both of us win. If I'm only giving 50, she's giving 75, or if she's giving 100, at some point she's going to feel slighted that she's doing all of this and I'm only doing 50% of what she's doing. So I believe the effort of what it takes in a relationship in this essence is that it's always 100-100. You always bring your full you always bring your A game to the table. If both of you bringing your A game to the table, then no one is left out. And I do not subscribe to the gender role thing, because I know There are women that are better mechanics than men. I know that there are women that can handle a lawnmower better than a man. I know some men that can cook better than women. I even know of households that the man do all the cooking. So I know about those. So I don't subscribe to the extra gender role. I just think that we both come together collectively and say, this is what I do good, this is what I'm weak at, and you just go from there.
I was going to echo that. It all depends on the household and what the husband is good at and what the wife is good at. So now, if you come into the relationship saying, hey, it's 50-50, honey, you take care of the kids, the cleaning, the cooking, I'll take care of the trash, the outside. Okay, that's something that you all have established. But like Minister Isaac was saying, it all depends because, yes, I do know in a marriage where the husband does all of the cooking, but that's something that he enjoys doing. Now, now I'm going to say this, when it comes to if a spouse is not working and the other one is out working, the one who is at home, let me say this, I feel should be taking care of the inside household stuff.
Agreed.
That's what I believe because he's out or whoever it is, they're out working. So why wouldn't the one who is at home take care of it? Unless they have that understanding and saying, honey, you don't have to do anything. But after a while, you don't have to do anything gets really old. And wait a minute, I'm out here, I'm hustling, I'm making a living and you're here doing nothing. It's not fair.
I totally agree with that. I do. I think that when you talk about you know uh, responsibilities, especially if it's someone that is not working, then they should pick up the slack from the other one who is. And a lot of times it's not that way though. Even today, and I think that a lot of times it's because of how we put more responsibility on our girls than we do our boys. A lot of times we make it that way when they're young. Even I noticed that in school, the girls are a lot more responsible. We give more of the chores and the responsibilities to the girls, where they have to pick up, they have to make their bed, they pick up after their siblings. But then the boys, we don't teach them how to be independent. We kind of nurture them a little bit more, which is why I think sometimes they have a harder time in adjusting in relationship and sharing the load, because they were spoiled, so they weren't taught how to manage those things. Because even if both are working, you find a lot of times, the guys, they said they have this saying, boys will be boys, and they get married and they still feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm married, but I can still do what I did before I got married. I can still hang out with my friends and do what I want to do. And here you have this poor wife, she's home with these babies and she's trying to feed them, and she's trying to cook, and she's trying to clean, and she's trying to do everything. And the load is falling on her, as if she didn't have a life before she got married, and now her whole life stopped.
No, I totally agree. That's why we made sure we raised our boys. Let me tell you, we raised our children to be independent because let me see, Lady V, Minister Isaac, Tyrone, you were younger. You may not know, or you may know, but it was a couple in there where the husband couldn't even iron. Could
Right,
not even iron.
right,
And
right.
like, really? And not only that, but in the military, active duty,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
always
remember
trying to
that.
find somebody to do the ironing. But one thing we taught our children is that we don't want you to be independent on anybody.
Right.
We taught them at a young age how to iron, wash dishes, vacuum. As a matter of fact, they actually had chore days. It was split up. And even though Jemiah was younger, okay, no, you need to clean the table. Who's gonna sweep? Who's gonna do the dishes? Put them away. Make the Kool-Aid. So they alternated because when they get into a relationship, we don't want our children to be dependent on anyone. And it's so funny because one of our children, where I look at, they're working, and the girlfriend is really doing nothing, literally. And it's like, wow. I mean, doesn't get a break. But that's not something that we taught. And that's why
Right.
it all depends on the relationship and how they establish things. And however, you may get with somebody who is lazy, but sometimes the signs are there and we ignore them, and then we get involved, and then you get tired of it, but it's something that was allowed. So in the beginning, that's why it's important that you set up, hey, what are we doing? Hey, I'll take care of this, you take care of that. Because like I said, if you go in there and you're doing, this spouse is doing more where it's not, and the topic is 50-50, and I agree with Minister Isaac 100, but when it's not, then that other person can get burnt out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
I agree with Dr. Isaac with the 100. Um, I don't think there's a cut and dry rule. I think it's according to the couple. You have to, the way you start off is the way you're going to end up.
Yeah.
You have to establish those rules, because if you go into a relationship with 50-50, what if that woman gets pregnant and her 50% is no longer able to be contributed? What are you going to do then? So I don't think it's a cut and dry rule. I think the couple needs to establish what can happen if a man doesn't make enough money to support that family, to support a wife, himself, and so forth and so on, take care of the things that are necessary. Then all of that needs to be established from the beginning, because if that's the way you want to, if that's the way you want to establish your relationship, I don't think there's a cut and dry rule. I think it's up to the individuals, because when you first get married and you do, at your both parties are working, of course you contribute, you do what you do, but then there's a time that comes that there may be a shift, but you have to explain that, talk that over, because now, well, I've had my babies already. I'm not raising babies anymore, and you are making enough money. So I don't think that the money that I have coming in should have to be contributed. I think you should be, because people go by what they're taught, and it depends on what they were taught, how they were brought up in their household, and the teachings even from church. We're taught that the man is the provider. That's what we're taught. So now if you go into a relationship without having been, being in agreement, that's going to come up. It's going to come up. Well, you know what Pastor so-and-so said, you're supposed to be the provider. Well, we should have talked about that. So I don't think it's a cut and dry anything. I think we work together, and whoever is best, like somebody said already, whatever you're good at, that's what you do. That's what you do. I know I'm not good at anything on the outside. I can't mow a lawn. I don't know how to turn it on. I don't know how to fix a tire. I don't know how to put gas in a car. I don't know how to do any of those things. So I'm not good at that. And my husband knows that. He knew that from when we first met. So he don't apply pressure to me with that. But I once again, I know he's not a cook at all. He can't cook, but he's a great cleaner, wash clothes, and things of that nature. So that's how we established our relationship, and it works. I don't think it's a cut and dry. I think people have to come to a decision and an agreement. We're going to work together. So, how would you like to establish this? Who's going to do this, especially when children come, because we ladies know when children come, we get more work we have more work to do, especially when it comes to work, waking up at night and all that kind of stuff. For most moms, we get up at night and on a regular basis. So I don't think it's a cut and dry. I think it has to be according to how you start your relationship.
But so why do we think that it's that way though? Because I hear what you're saying, but I think that a lot of it just comes from learned behavior and
Yeah.
what people say the roles are. Because I remember times, and I know that some of you can too. I can remember times going to an outing with small children, and the guys would slip off and go play ball or whatever, and the ladies be left with the kids, and the ladies be left with the cooking, and the ladies be left with the cleaning. And I never could understand that, because, and I remember asking that question one time, like, are they not parents too? Because I always felt that that was unfair. Getting up in the middle of the night, if that person, if the woman works and the man works, why is it that if the mom is expected to get up and not both people expected to get up? Because the load has to be shared. And I think that a lot of times it is gender expectations, because we say that we're equal, but a lot of times we're not, because responsibilities get pushed off on the male, and responsibilities get pushed off on, even in divorce. A lot of times, still, when people get divorced, it's automatically thought that the mom is going to take the children. Nobody ever thinks about the dad being a single dad. It's always the mom that's expected. I'm like, so is it a 50-50? Did we 50-50 do these kids, or is it your 100 and my 100? Because a lot of times it's not that way. A lot of times when divorce happens, the mom takes on the majority of the responsibility, and the dad gets the visitations. So it may sound like it should be that way, but it really, in all honesty, is not.
No,
Hey,
it's not that way. And just let me say this one thing. What you tolerate, you can't change.
that's right.
And it comes it boils down to what you tolerate. That's a good point that you brought out, Lady V. I remember when my husband and I were feuding, and I'm sure everybody that's been married or is married on this show, you've had your times of back and forth, and I'm done, and I quit, and so forth and so on. And I came home one day and I said, I'm done. I got the bank book with $52.97, and I said, I'm going to California. I knew nothing about California. And I said, I've had it. My husband came in and he said, what you doing? He caught me with the bank book. I'm going to leave. And he said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm done and I'm leaving. I'm going to California. He said, well, what are you going to do about the girls? I said, I'm leaving them with you. He said, oh, we got to talk. Oh, now we got to talk. Yes, because I would not tolerate that. See, what you tolerate, you can't change. If I had ever broken up with my husband, I had made up in my mind that I was not going to be the one starting all over with the kids.
Question, Tyrone. I'm sorry, Pastor At. Do you have a daughter?
Through marriage, yes, but I have a son through marriage, and then I have two sons naturally.
Okay. Your daughter through marriage, is she at the age where you can where she does her hair, or does her mom do it?
Yeah, she's 23.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then so this question doesn't apply to you, but I can ask Pastor Mayor. Pastor
Oh
Mayor.
no, it's going to apply to me. I know how to do hair.
Okay. Okay. Great. Oh yeah, because you got sisters. That's right. So at any time,
No, it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them. I
Okay.
just like not. I don't like not knowing how to do anything.
there you
I don't like being
Bingo.
caught off guard.
That's the point that
Go.
I'm bringing up. How many men actually take the time to learn how to comb their daughter's hair?
Mm-hmm.
It's your child too.
That's
And
right.
I like what you said, Dr. B, is that and also Yvonne, is that you will only tolerate what you allow.
Mm-hmm.
And but also this, we as men should be learning the things that we think it's cliche only just a woman's thing.
Say it.
We should know about our daughter's body. We should be able to talk about our daughter's menstrual cycle with them. So it's not so cliche. Oh, y'all doing woman talk. No, I need to know these things and I need to have an understanding of these things so that when things happen, I now know what this means. I may not know exactly how you feel, but I can have an understanding of how you feel and what your body is going through. So even when it comes to things of inside the house, yes, because just like someone said, that traditionally the household that the husband would go out and work and the wife would and the wife would stay home and I take care of the household. That is traditionally, but even in today's society where both parents are outside of the house working, both parents should be taking the same prudence, the same care, the same effort when it comes to the children. I still hate. Well, I'm not used to. I still hate that whenever I hear men say that I got to babysit my children. You don't have to babysit your.
And some people have to ask. Some mothers have to ask
Right.
their husband.
Exactly.
But would you mind keeping your own child? Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, this is your own child. Exactly.
But this is something that I would ask us to kind of reconsider. One, there are a lot of men who would love to have kept their children after the divorce. I am one of them. But the laws are geared towards women, and the laws pretty much has the understanding that while the children are younger, they are to be nurtured by the mothers and kept. So they tend to do that. But if we're going to be completely 100, I was the better parent. I was the one taking them places and doing stuff with them, spending the time with them. And you want to talk about who was staying up at night, even though she wasn't working? That was me. I was sitting there feeding them with the bottom warmer and those type things. So really, it has nothing to do necessarily with gender roles. It's a matter of how invested do you want to be in the relationship? How invested do you want to be in the child's life?
Yeah.
When I was younger, as a kid, my mom did not want me in the kitchen. I went and took a home ec class to learn how to sew. I learned how to cook and do those things because I didn't want to have a woman be dependent on a woman or anybody else for my future needs. You know who else I taught that? My sons, my children here on how to do stuff. So not just in the house, but outside of the house. The other thing we have to take into account is that, okay, let's be honest with you, because what I don't want is modern day slavery in the marriage. I don't want you saying, hey, help me out with this cooking, cleaning, and everything else, which is fine. But then when I go outside, I'm slaving like a Hebrew. I'm in the garage, I'm building stuff and all that kind of stuff, and you just drinking your lemonade and watching TV. So which ones do you want to be involved in? Okay. So you say you won't help in the home. Okay, I won't help outside. Well, you can't get help outside because I'm not a girly girl. I'm not out there. I don't want to sweat and all that. Okay, let's have some understanding of what we're going to do. But don't get upset if I don't do these things because I am using my life energy to perform a certain task. And then when I come into the house, I don't want to have to use additional life energy while you sitting down chilling. Because like we said, nowadays, I would get a disagreement from the comments, but nowadays most women don't cook. They go out to get something to eat and they bring it home.
That's true.
They microwave it and they'll go about their business. It's not the norm in society anymore for you to have a home cooked meal coming home when you get home. I know we have some older women here who probably still do that, but in most cases, these younger women right now, you will get a hamburger helper, some macaroni and cheese, you get something to go and those type things. And that may not be everybody, but that is the norm from my understanding. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making all these money with a Popeyes and McDonald's on the street, on every corner.
But no, that's true because I think about, and like you said, how much are you invested? Because my thing was, okay, so as a child, something we used to do is like if we had to rake the yard. So it would be, I would have to be out there with my mom and with my dad. Okay. So that's something that I actually learned. So
and she's still in the yard today.
Say that again.
And she's still out in the yard.
Right. That's so I remember when we were stationed in Hawaii and Pastor got deployed to go to Afghanistan. So I already knew how to cut the grass because that was something I learned how to do as a child. So when Pastor, here it is, you're going to be deployed for a whole year. I am not going to depend on anybody to do that. So guess what?
Mhm.
I would go out there and do it. Now,
Mhm.
I didn't know how to cut the boys' hair because we did have a barber. And then Pastor was like, you know what? This is 3 heads. I'm going to start cutting hair myself. So he actually taught me how to cut the boys' hair.
Mm.
So that was something that I learned how to do as well. And so now, fast forward, looking at one of our children, he's always in the kitchen, love to cook, always creating some concoction. It's something that he enjoys doing. And the funny thing is that I don't remember teaching him not how to do fancy dishes. You know, the basic we definitely taught them how to do. You know how to do eggs, certain things you knew how to do. However, but with his girlfriend, she does like to cook, and he may cook and she may cook. So that is something that I do like. However, I go back to what Pastor AT said. It all depends on what you are invested in. Because if I got to go outside in the backyard and rake or weed whack, so be it. That's something that I will do. The one who grills the most in the family, it's me because I grew up love grilled food, but it's something that I enjoy doing.
Mhm.
So my thing is, if I want him, well, pastor, to do things indoor and be domesticated, then I need to do the same as well. And one thing I like about our relationship, and two, it could be because of how he was raised, is that neither one of us say, oh, I can't do that because that's a woman's job or that's a man's job. He would comb Brittany's hair, Jemiah's hair, talk about stuff with Jemiah. So, and even after having children, I didn't have to worry about, a lot of times it wasn't, who's going to change the baby or who's going to do this with the child. Absolutely not. He was more willing to do it than anything. So I do like that, and that's why I go back to what we were saying in the beginning. It all depends on your household and how things are set up, because I didn't have a child, we had a child.
Yes.
It's not, oh, it's your turn, oh, to change the baby or to feed the baby, it's my turn. When did that become a chore? When did that become a job? You're the one who wanted, both of y'all wanted children. So it's shared responsibilities.
That's right. And we're a team. We're supposed to be a team. When
Bingo.
you're married, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be a team. So I don't want my team player to be overexerted, especially if I can team up with my team player and we can get this thing done faster. We can work smarter and not harder. We just work together. It depends on the relationship, period. Because my husband is the type person, my husband does all the food shopping, grocery shopping. He's a Costco person. I don't go to Costco, so he gets everything from Costco. I go to the supermarket, pick up what I need, or to the market down the road. But there's nothing for my husband to clean up, to do whatever his hands finds to do, he does it, and I do the same thing. But that's the way
Can
we started like that.
I
Yes.
want
yeah, can I
to.
jump in on this
Um,
comment?
No,
there's
could you
a
go back
there's
to
a
Dan's
question.
question?
It says, "Do you believe that there are things Do you believe there are things that should still stay gender specific?"
No.
So, in listening to the comments, one thing that I realized that people fail to realize is before you become one, you were single. And when you were single, you had the responsibilities individually. So, for instance, before I got married, I still had to get my oil change in my car. I still had to go, and if I had grass, somebody had to cut it. If I had to cook, I had to feed myself. So there's things that you had to do before you got together with someone. And I think that that's the thing that now when you get together, yeah, if you take on that role or you take on those things that you enjoy doing, then I'll use me. I love to clean. So that's something that I enjoy doing. That's something that I take pride in doing. But I did that before I got with someone. I didn't just, oh, well, I'm just the woman, so I'm
Yeah.
clean. And I think that that's the difference. I think that sometimes we do relate specific roles to whoever, and then it was something as far as the custody of the children. It's the same thing when you have children. The child is the responsibility of
Both
both
parents.
parents. That means that child, that means that the dad is responsible for changing diapers, the mom is responsible for changing diapers.
Right.
Dad has to boil bottles, mom has to boil bottles. Everything is teamwork, and it can't be on one person, because then what happens is when there is a separation, and I think it's Devola that said it so nicely. Men have to really speak up if they desire to really be in their children's life. They have to go full force, and they have to say
But
something.
see, that's not what she's saying. That's not what
No.
she's saying. See, the issue is, and I'm just going to completely disagree with her. And you have the documented researches
And I'm
that
gonna disagree with
states
you too, Tom.
that if we're talking about being the custodial parent, in order, you know who usually gets the husband, if you know what type of men who normally get the custody of their children, men who have millions and thousands of dollars to fight those legal fees, because not only are you fighting against, she don't have to fight that battle. The state is fighting that battle on her behalf. You have to fight against the state and the government in order to get custody, custodial custody, primary custody of your children. The default, the only time they give it to the husband is if the mother is on crack or dealing with some type of issues like that. That's the only time that the husband is involved, unless legally you have the money to fight it. And most normal men do not have the legal custody to fight it. As a matter of fact, if you're not married, you really don't have too much of rights as it is. You'd be lucky if you have joint custody. So let us get it straight. You say it's lies all you want. Do your own research, not your opinion. So what we're talking about here is that these laws are geared towards protecting women and protecting, quote unquote, the children. And it is actually, so we talk about changing the concept of how we see things. Well, let's change the laws. Because when you have parents who want to be involved in those things, my ex-wife would have had to waive her rights, as a mother in order for me to be the custodial parent. So you can speak off all you want, you can say what all you want.
I think
that
when you talk about rights, and I think, for me, I think that there does not have to be, and I don't think people understand this, there doesn't have to be per se a listed custodial parent.
That is correct.
You can have what you call joint custody.
Mhm.
Now, joint custody means that both people, and this is where I think a lot of times people don't do their research, is when you talk about, it's about the child support. And that's where it comes down to. When you go for joint custody means I jointly am the parent with you with these children. So we're both, wait a minute.
Where's the child primarily live?
It
You
doesn't
make that
matter.
distinction.
Wait, but see, here's the thing. When it comes to the children, and I have to kind of lean more towards what Devola is saying, because when it comes to the children, you have a say. You do. I work in childcare. I know too many dads that have.
Let's back it up even further.
You're going. The fathers don't understand. It doesn't have to be a custodial parent.
Let's back this up even further. Hold on. Let's back this up.
Finish my statement.
Even further. First and foremost, when you are two adults and you have a child, and you've come to the conclusion that the relationship between the two adults is not working the way that it should be, and y'all decide to go y'all ways, the child is not to be used as a pawn.
True.
The only reason why the child support system is out there and the court is deciding who the child will go through because the two knucklehead adults couldn't come to a decision on what is best for the child. Yes, it's typically proven that women use the child as the pawn. That's typically proven. Okay. Now, each state is different. For example, in the state of California, a man got to go through hell and high water to get custody of his child. But that's in the state of California. The state of North Carolina, a man got to go through hell and high water to get the custody of a child in North Carolina. You want to ask why I know? Because
We're
I.
talking about primary custody. We're
But
talking about primary.
yes, and I'm speaking of primary custody. I am one that proved that my daughter was better to be with me than to be with her mother. I proved it, factually proved it. The court still gave her to her mom. I even had to fight to keep my child support from being raised due to the fact that I got married because of the fact that the mother was too lazy to go out and do better for herself. But yes, I will agree with Devola on this aspect is that men should come prepared and speak up more and speak up when it actually comes to the actual court system. But however, Georgia did not always be like they are now. The laws changed in Georgia for them to be how they are now because men were complaining that they were losing custody when they had all right to have custody of their child too. Okay, but remember, the court system is only there because the two adults cannot come to a decision. So, me as being a man and the woman, I am so thankful that my ex-wife Betty and I came to the conclusion and we said that this is what we will not allow the court to do. We will not allow the court to tell us what will happen between our child. Remember, two adults said that our relationship has come to a point to where it's no longer ending. But the relationship for each parent concerning the child or the children has nothing to do with the relationship that we're having and the demise of it. So we're gonna be in our right mind and we're gonna come together and say this is what we feel that is best for our child. So the court don't have to tell us.
Okay, but we're not individualizing it. We're talking
Overall.
about over
Yes.
a course because I'm saying, and let's go back to the comment that was made. It's not like that in a lot of homes. A lot of the role when it comes to the children falls first of all on the women. So that's the problem right there. You have a lot of women that are single moms in the home married. They're
Mhm.
taking care of the children
Yes.
and they're doing everything, and the dads are playing very little role in helping the mom in the home. So
Mhm.
that's the first thing. So then what happens is when there's a breakup, the mom automatically is going to want to resume that responsibility because he didn't resume that responsibility in the first place. Now, what I'm saying is because this was said that you got to go through a whole lot. No, I believe that if that part is where both parents are playing that role and both parents are in those children's lives, then that conversation will go a whole lot differently. But in most homes, it is not that way. It is not. You either got the dad when the breakup happens, he ski, or he's like, okay, well, it's automatically assumed that the mom is going to resume the responsibility, but it doesn't have to be that way. They can have joint custody, and the children can live with
Where
whoever
does
they
the
want to live
child
with.
live?
Here's the thing.
Where does the child live?
Wait a minute. In a lot of states, now, got to think about this. Once a child is a certain age, they get to say who they want to live with. So if the father was that much of a dad where he built that relationship with his child, then you know what those children are going to turn around and say. I remember the movie. It was years ago. It was back in the 80s. It was a movie called Kramer versus Kramer.
Mhm.
The mom left
Yes, I
out the
remember that
house,
movie.
and the mom decided that she didn't want to be in a relationship no more. She left the dad. Now, here's the thing: the dad was not an active parent in the son's life. He was forced to become an active parent in the son's life, if y'all remember.
Yes.
And what happened was he learned how to be a dad. He learned how to build that relationship with his son, and he became very, very good at it. Now the mom comes back, and the mom was like, "Oh, I want my son back." And the court granted her custody. They did. The judge said, "We're gonna give the son back to the mom." But at the end, the child was like, "I don't want you to take me from my dad." And it was so heartwarming. I'm about to cry because it was just a tearjerker. Because if you ever saw the movie, it was the impact that the father played on his child. See, what we don't understand is dads play a definite part in their children's lives. So if they're a part of their children's life and they're actively a part of their children's life, the mom is not going to be able to just easily say, "Oh, I'm just going to take my kids."
But fine.
Yeah, but a couple things. You didn't answer the question. You didn't answer the question though.
Okay. So let's not go back to Dan's question. Do we believe that there are some roles that still should be gendered? No. I totally disagree. The only one that should be, if you got a newborn child and a newborn child is nursing, that means that they,
Mhm.
that the child is nursing. That's the only time that there's that comes to a true gender role, because we ain't got no, we ain't got no milk. But you have to have a resolve within your own relationship of how you and the person that you are married to or dating, of how that you guys are going to maneuver through your
Oh God,
relationship.
I'm so
But then,
tired.
uh, I don't ever think that it is a gender role thing, because there are times that,
Okay.
you know, just like Pastor At, just like you, I said, it's all about the amount of investment that each parent
Yeah.
to the relationship. Period. So I don't
So
ever think that. Now,
Vaughn
but
didn't answer the question though.
then also, when you get to the child support thing, that's, look, let's let's be honest. When the two parents can't come to an agreement, and that goes to our court system, remember this: it's all about the lawyer. It's all about the judge. It's
But
all
see,
about those two. Hold on. It's all about those two. Depending on who the lawyer is, and depending on who the judge is, it is all about the fight. I have seen guys go in court and fight and got strong proof, and they lose. However, I've seen the other side too. My own goddaughter is not with her mom right now. She is with her dad. Now I know how it happened, but she is with her dad.
Yeah.
So I've seen it on both sides. But watch this. He got it based off his lawyer, and that relationship from that lawyer to the judge. Period.
yeah. Well, see. Here's the thing. The question was, when you have joint custody, the child has to stay someplace. Who has the primary custody? Because whoever has the primary custody, that's the one that receives the child support.
That
Okay.
is not true.
That's not always
If you go
In most cases,
no, if you file for joint custody means exactly this. That means that both parties agree to jointly take care of the child.
Yeah.
That means that there is no child support, there is no custodial.
then it must be different in your state,
No,
because in the
it's
state of
not.
Alabama
I'm
and
telling
Georgia,
you, there is
Vaughn,
something
how you-
called joint custody.
and I lived it. So it must be different in your state versus mine. Because we had a nice, clear divorce, but as you said before, you still have to have a legal document that says how are the children being taken care of. So in the state of Alabama, when those papers were written up, I had legal joint custody. But because the children were living with her, I paid her child support. When the boys did get older, and as you're talking about, if the father was such a good father, here you go, Devola. If the father was such a good father, the children would have came to live with him. Thank you very much. Those boys came to live with me, and then she ended up paying child support. But here's the thing about equality. You tell me about equality. Women have a higher deadbeat dad or deadbeat mom rate than men do per capita. Now, men usually get child support, right? But when women have child support or forced to pay child support, the number is at 90%. So you tell me about what's important for the child, important investing in your child. So when men do have custody and the mom is involved, you can look up the research. You can disagree if you want to. I know you will. But the research states that most of them don't feel they have to pay for whatever reason. There you go. So we're talking about equality and all this about mothers, but when the shoe's on the other foot, they don't always pay. I know dudes right now, the mom still doesn't pay.
True that.
Wow.
So what about equality? We talking about 50-50 equality and all that. No, go after those 90% of the women who don't pay the child support or whatever. But the fact is, percentage wise, we'll admit most of the men do have to pay the child support when it comes to these types of relationships. There's a couple of states out there where even if their name is not on, even if there's doubt of whether he is the father, as long as she puts his name on the father on the paper,
certificate.
the birth certificate, he still has to pay. You tell me that's equal? That's fair?
Yes. See,
well, I think even though regardless of what label you put on it, joint custody or permanent or the mother or the father gets the custody of the child, it's still your child. So the father should be so wrapped up into that child's life, never mind what me and the mother went through with, I want to know everything about my child. It's nothing worse than a mother that, you divorced and the child, like Pastor AT said, who does the child live with? Living with the mother, and the child has to go without shoes and sneakers and so forth. No, that shouldn't be, because the father, your position didn't change. All you changed was your location. The child is not living with you, but you're still responsible for the needs of that child beyond child support. Yeah. But most men, they come up and say, well, you're getting child support. What do you want out of me? The child needs stuff.
When it comes to that child support,
it's still the responsibility of that father or that mother, wherever that child is living, to help get the child through. Because that's why so many of our children go through abandonment, rejection, and all that other gory stuff.
Yes, but when it comes to that child support thing, it's look, I have a different belief when it comes to child support, and I'll say this, and this is, and when we talk about equality, I understand. Let me preface this. I understand what is the purpose for child support. I fully understand the purpose of child support. Okay, but however, I don't think that the custodial parent, I have to use that term. I don't think that the custodial parent should be making a whole life's living off of child support.
True. However, but they have that right to do what they want with that money.
And that's the portion about child support that I disagree with.
I'm going to say this, and it's something Dr. Bennett just said. Whether you're a man paying child support or you're a woman paying child support, most child support is not how much it costs a month to take care of a child. That's right. That's the bottom line. If you tell me that I got to pay $500, because you got some people, they're paying $300, they're paying $500, that is not even nearly the cost of what it takes. It takes about $400 just to feed a child. So when you talk about child support is whatever. We're talking about relationship with the child, because the bottom line is when you talk about, at the end of the day, clothes. Okay, let's talk about infants. You talk about buying, if the child is not breastfeeding,
I doubt it.
And clothes is going to absorb at least $500 a day.
All of that. I am not disputing that at all. I'm just saying that child support, whether it's given by the man or whether it's given by the woman, but typically, historically, by the data, is given by the men. I truly hate to see when women no longer have to work because of the amount of child support that they get. And
she uses something Pastor Mel said, she should be able to use it for wherever the need is. And if the need is to contribute to paying rent because I need an extra room or whatever, she should be able to use that money. The fact it still remains, the child belongs to two people, and you're both responsible for that. If that child were living in your home, you would be spending more than $300 a month on that child. That's for sure. Because the child has to eat, the child has to have clothes, the child has to,
Hey, I truly understand that, but I still don't feel that child support should be an amount to where whoever is receiving, the recipient, can stop working.
No, they shouldn't stop working, but I mean, they don't. That's not a reason for them to stop working. I mean, but you, once again, you're going to always have ignorance.
Raising a child.
And for me, the way I looked at it, I never had an issue with it. And even though he turned 19, I actually pay. I no longer have to pay for my oldest child. I give it to him. I give it to him because he's in college. See, I never had an issue with it. And as a matter of fact, I always pay more than that anyway to them directly. Because it doesn't matter to me. It's kind of like when you pay your tithes and your offering. I ain't tripping on what the church do with it. I'm just doing what I'm required to do. And if I want to give over and above that. I saw some stuff that didn't make sense. Yeah, I saw some things that felt like it was an investment into my child's life that didn't really feel like it was going to the child. But I kept that to myself.
Right.
What she did with it is what she wanted to do with it. The decision she made is what she wanted to make. If I gave any additional, it's going to be towards to those guys directly. And that's how I handle it. And that's what when I get paid again, that's what I'm going to do. I'm continue to do. But I don't get tripped up over that because that's a personal decision because I met the minimum requirement for investing in my sons, but I also know that there's more that comes from it.
Right.
But you will want the person to be responsible. And ultimately, that's what, when the roles were reversed and she had to pay and I received that money, you wanted to be responsible, And she didn't ask me any questions on where her money was going when she had to go ahead and do it. So,
and I think a child should know, and this is what I have come in contact with with my counseling clients. I think it's very unfair for the child not to know that the father or the mother is giving child support. I think it's very unfair. I think they should know that. They should be told that your dad, your mom, whoever is, most of the time it's the dad, your dad is giving X amount of dollars a month. I just want you to know that. I don't want you to paint a bad picture and so forth and so on. But most of the time, a lot of mothers do not disclose that information, and that is not fair.
No, you're right.
You're muted.
I'm muted?
No, Minister.
No, sorry. I just said, there you go. I definitely agree with that. I am one that believes that child support should take care of the necessities of the child. It should never be to a point to where, let's be honest. Well, let's look at some of these cases where recently where the chick is getting $40,000 a month for a child support for someone that she only dated for just a little while. So happened they got a child together. They never lived together. But is $40,000 is $40,000 a month sufficient for one child? Or is that?
It all depends on your lifestyle and who it is.
That's a lifestyle that she never had.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: you pay the cost to be the boss. If you got her pregnant, I have to agree with Devola. You got to watch who you reproduce with.
Okay, yes, I got that.
The thing about it is,
but
he had a baby. The girl had a baby.
Equality. When you talk about equality, then
people were tripping with the Halle Berry situation.
Then whenever women
were tripping left and right.
So then why did
everybody equality?
Blige had to pay $200,000 a month for
women were tripping about that too.
And women was mad at it.
But that's it. But what I'm saying is, it's not a gender thing. That's the thing.
So,
if a man has custody,
but when you talk
about
the
rules are different. Y'all switch the rules up.
Equality, you must be expected to do the exact same thing
on both sides.
When it comes to that level,
you can't change the rules when it fits you.
But it all depends on, of course, your income. Because now, if a woman gets with somebody who can afford the $40,000, that's what the judge find that is right. But of course, if she's not making it, then it's according to how much you make. I mean, I got it. I
I mean, they should have did like Dr. Dre and try to get a prenup and go about your business. That's what they should have did.
What newborn baby needs to be earning $40,000 a month in child support?
Isaac, we can't decide that. See, that's the thing. We can't get in their business in their pocket. So I ain't gonna get onto that subject because each child. Think about it. Let's put it this way, and this is where I'm going to disagree with you, Isaac. This is where I'm going to disagree with you. So, ladies, I'm gonna come on this side.
I'm not taking the other side of it.
Listen, here's the thing. If he had that child in marriage and matrimony, that child would have received a certain type of lifestyle, right?
Right.
Probably way more than $40,000 a month, and that's what they're trying to say. Had the child been born in the marriage, in the relationship, and all that kind of stuff, that child would have been receiving as almost like an inheritance his just due based off of his father's income. The fact that they got divorced or got separated has little to do with the fact that he's still deserving of $40,000 a month because that's his birthright, if you would. So that's the way I look at it. All right, and that's where I'm gonna disagree with you on that. Based off his income, because it belongs to the child, because that is the son or the daughter of that particular person.
Okay, so this is the actual point that I'm making. I believe that a certain amount of child support should be set aside in a trust fund for that child. Is that whoever has a child, male or female, whoever has a child, is that you receive enough that take care of the child. The rest should go in a trust fund for the child, especially when you get to the point to where you paying these daggone 5 figures and 6 figures amount of child.
But the truth is, Isaac, that person would have already had a trust fund anyway.
If you're paying 6 figures, that means you live in a 6-figure life. You have
more than that,
living a 6-figure life. So let's look at Mary J. Blige. I'll speak on the man's point of view. He gets with a woman and she's making millions of dollars. Okay. And he gets custody of the children. She's living $1 million plus life. So the judge is not going to say, oh, well, you just get $500 a month. They not living a $500. The children not living a $500 a month life. So then whatever they're going to go by.
And Isaac never had children.
In which they're going to go by the income that the person makes. And that's just straight across the board, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. The more you make, the more you can afford to pay for your child. That's just how it is.
But let's look at this though. Look at you talking about equality, right? Let's put it back to where it is. The issue that we're having is when the rules are on the other foot, it is not always reciprocated.
True.
Okay. And so there's sometimes of a double standard, and men see it all the time. And maybe women see it from their particular perspective as well. But there's always a double standard. And even in the way certain things are looked, as far as relationships and interracial marriages and different things like that, it's not the same. It don't look the same from the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? The girl on, what was the one getting with the president on that one that everybody was
Lewinsky? Monica?
Monica. No. I'm talking the TV show. Whatever it was. The black lady, I remember when that show came out. Black women loved it. Huh?
The Oval?
One of those. But the black lady was sleeping with the president, and black women was going in left and right. Let that have been the opposite way around, and people would say, why couldn't you find a sister? Why couldn't you do this and all? So things are not equal. The mindset is not equal, and I can't do anything about that, but I do recognize that the speech is not the same when it comes to men versus women in certain situations. If you want equality and you want things to be the same, let it be the same across the board at all levels. If you want equality, let the judge decide who is supposed to be the primary of the parent where the child lives, those type things, despite whether their age and all that kind of stuff. If you want equality, but it's not always the case.
But I think that now that you made a good point when you talk about scandal, you can flip it and you can say that the standard, and we said this a few times, that the standard for women is different than men. If a man cheats, he just gets a slap on the hand. But if a woman cheats, that's a whole different story. So I think that it is looked at different when it comes to gender, because men, they're just saying, I've heard people say, and this is just straight across the board, whether it's religion, whether it's business, whether whatever it is, boys are going to be boys. But when it's a woman that does it, they're gonna run her name down, she's gonna be discredited and everything else, because she's a woman, and women are not thought of to be able to do those things. So when you talk about the standard, yeah, you're right. On Scandal, she was with the white guy, she was sleeping with him, he was the president. But if you had flipped it and it was his wife, it would have been a whole nother story too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying is, when we're saying, if we're going to ask for equality, let your statement be the same across the board. If it's wrong for one, it's wrong for the other. If the husband cheating, I'm not sure where the husband cheating gets the slap on the wrist. You're gonna have to give me some details on that. But usually when a man cheats, especially in leadership or ministry, he's stepping down. He
After
no
he done got caught a few times. Because it take a few times.
Yeah.
No. That man, for him to get sat down, that means that somebody was just fed up. Because he been cheating for a long time.
But I got you.
Wife go out there and cheat.
That's not always true.
Oh, we know you don't just get caught on the first time.
How many times, Mom and Pastor Melanie? One time. That's it. This off with her head. They're gonna put her pictures out there in the street.
But we don't even have to take it to ministry. Just take it to
that is not
a marital relationship.
Is this
If the
real
man
life?
cheats, if the man cheats on, and I'm not saying all, but in most cases that I've come in contact with, if the man cheats and then the wife finds out, it's like, okay, look, I did it.
Right.
What can I say? I can't undo it. But if the woman cheats, we're done. You're thrown under the bus. You're this, you're that, and I'm out.
Right.
I'm gone.
Fully disagree.
Listen. Everybody is responsible for their own decisions and what they do.
I fully disagree.
We way over.
Listen.
Yeah, but look.
Right, no, but I'm gonna tell you why. That's the topic. From my perspective, I'm gonna tell you why. All right, let me tell you why.
But I tell you, I completely disagree. I believe that there is a period of restoration for either side. I believe that. However,
that's not everybody.
Okay, it's gonna be 4 verse 1. You keep this up because I agree. I agree with them because for me, I already said, look.
He said it. He said, I'm out.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Women, to me, this is my personal opinion. Okay, and okay, you can fight me for this. Women are very more in control of their emotions than men are. They can navigate ups and downs and left and right as far as their emotions than men are. So they will be angry, they'll be ready to fight, but depending on the financial situation and certain things and love and their love and how they feel about the person, they're more apt to forgive that person if they can trust that he won't do that again.
That's right.
Men, we're not good with our emotions and in our feelings, and we're not intact with those. So the moment your woman is with another man, you're gonna have flashbacks. You're gonna be asking questions. You don't need to be asking questions. You're gonna have pictures in your head. You really can't recover from that mentally, and your emotions can't really recover from that because you're not as skilled as they are.
That's right.
in navigating this thing, and that's the reason why they're out. That's
and
why I told my wife.
And the reason for that is because a man's ego has been tapped into.
And you're right.
Into a man's ego, you can forget it.
Because truthfully, listen to this.
You will live miserable.
You're dealing with when the Bible talks about the two become one flesh.
Okay.
Men really feel that thing when it comes to the actual wife. They don't always live it when it comes to other people.
next week, right here.
Right.
Because
And when
I
they come with their wife, they be like, "That belongs to me. Somebody has violated me."
I
And so you
totally
don't feel right.
disagree. We can get into this one. We can get into this one real good.
Next week,
Yes,
let's go, Vaughn. Next week.
because I totally disagree.
Okay. So to be continued because it is 7-Eleven and not the store. Oh my goodness. I didn't know it was gonna go this way. But it is a good topic, so we're gonna talk about it. And we might bring a few experts on to kind of talk. We might have a panel next week. So
That's fine, but I disagree.
Are they experts because
Anyway,
they cheated
go
or
ahead,
because
Lady
they
V,
forgive
go
and
ahead.
cheated? What type of experts
Go
are
ahead,
these?
Lady V. Go ahead.
we're gonna have some folks on here. We're gonna have a panel. That's what we're gonna do.
Let's,
But until
let's,
then,
let's get it.
Go
well,
ahead.
we gotta stop having these
It's gonna
hot
be 8 verse
topics,
1.
y'all.
Oh no, this gonna be
Minister
fire.
Isaac, our time is up.
Mute my mic.
Hello, everybody. You have been watching Breaking the Silence. And we have been talking about gender equality, I think, and 50, 50-50. Is it 50-50? But we kind of went off on the 50-50. So we're going to continue it next week. I think it's worth having a part 2. But until then, we are on the air every Tuesday at 6 o'clock sharp until we try to get off at 7. We seem to be going on these extended hours, but I appreciate everybody today. Devola, Savea, and Jennifer, and others that have come on and made comments. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am your host, Lady V. We have Dr. Yvonne Bennett, we have Pastor AT, and Pastor Melanie, and the wonderful, amazing Dr. Minister Isaac. But until next week, we want everybody to know, especially Dr. Isaac, that you have a voice. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Sorry, Isaac.